Hello and good morning.
Good morning. This is Gail Papp.
Hey, Gail Papp. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How about yourself?
Absolutely fantastic. I was anxious to hear your voice, and the reason being is because somebody who has been associated with public theater, and that right there is community-driven so much. I just wanted to hear how you use your vocal cords.
Oh, okay. Well, now you're hearing it.
Because it really is all about making that connection, is it not, when it comes to building your theater and productions?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You've got it right on the mark.
And then to put it in book form, this is such an amazing adventure because so many new actors to the theater these days need to understand who was there before they got there.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a valuable kind of life to know about, and it's kind of relevant to a lot of what's going on now.
The name of the book is Public Private, My Life with Joe Papp. This right here is a moment in theater history that he helped shape something that wasn't taking place, and you were a part of that circle.
Yes, I was. I was very lucky to land at his organization when the public theater was just starting up. He'd done Shakespeare for many years, but he was just getting into new works and new plays and musicals at the time that I arrived way back in the 60s. And so I saw the birth and the creation and the evolution of this remarkable theater, and was privileged to be a member of it on the staff. So I have a close-up view of it, and a great desire to bring to life the people, the politics, the plays,
yes,
of those first 25 years when I was working with Joe, and after 10 years I was married to him.
Wow. I mean, you talk about the politics of the plays and things. I mean, I can't imagine what it was like in 1967 when Hair first appeared on that stage, because that brought a change in so many things.
Oh, it was. It was quite a revolution. It's hard to remember that at that time, the sound of rock and roll didn't exist on Broadway, right, or in most theaters that I know of. It just wasn't part of the musical theater sound of those days. There were some very fine musicals, of course, but this new sound on the musical stage was a total revolution. People could hardly believe it. It was something brand new, and they just lined up around the block to get into that show in our small 300-seat theater. It was an instant hit, and it attracted mostly young people, very young people, not your matinee Broadway audience or anything like that. It was a totally different kind of audience that came to see that show, and that was our very first show at the Public Theater. That's what we opened with. And it was unexpected. It kind of came in the last moment, and it was a little wild. A good part of that show was cast right off the street. This is during the Vietnam War era, and there were a lot of hippies and kids on the streets in our neighborhood then. And about half the cast was cast directly from the street. So they portrayed people that they knew very well, and a lot of them were the people in the show, actually. So that was quite remarkable and gave it tremendous life and vitality and a very direct kind of connection to the audience that was very young that came to see it.
See, that's the one reason why I love public theater so much even today, is the fact that when you say public theater, I mean, that is the public and going out there to get real people. Because when you've got a performance, you've got the vision, you've got to build that stage, and now you've got to perform that stage. And if you're missing one of those parts, something doesn't go right.
Absolutely. We were very fortunate to open with that show. And you should realize we were a Shakespeare-only organization up to that point. We'd never done new shows, and we never charged for them because we'd done free Shakespeare in New York City's parks, particularly Central Park. So this is a brand new thing, not only the musical sound of that particular musical, but also the fact that we were charging admission for the first time, even though it was very low admission. It was like $2.50. But nevertheless, it was a different relationship to the audience that we had. We didn't know whether they would show up at the box office if they had to pay, because for 10 or 15 years they'd been showing up at the box office just being handed free tickets at the park. So it was a revolution for the organization completely.
Yeah, because we had Charlotte Repertory Theater here in Charlotte, and it was one of those things where people just came in droves, because I mean, and that one production that you would do for 2 weeks or so, that had to lead to the next production, and the goal was to really work with the community so they kept coming back.
Absolutely. Well, our first relationship with an audience, as well as with actors, was open access. That was the whole idea. Open access for actors to be cast according to their talent and not by any kind of preconceived ideas, and also for the plays to be open and accessible by anybody who wanted to come, regardless of whether they could pay. So that was quite a revolution back then. And people showed up. We also had a touring mobile theater. We still do. And so the idea that my book is really about anybody who has a dream about making something that didn't exist.
Yep.
And who has the beliefs and passion and also the ethics to make something happen that's bigger idea than themselves. And I think that's part of the story that I tried to tell in the not only with my own association with Joe Papp, who was the founder and producer of this amazing enterprise, but also the idea that he personified and what it might mean to especially young people today, or anybody today, who believes that the arts speak to everybody and they should be made available to everybody.
Yep. And
that they also, especially the theater, but any of the arts, are an occasion for bringing people together and having a sense of community, although that's pretty much challenged in the theater right now across the country because of our post-pandemic era.
Yep.
And people are still trying to get back to the theater and have kind of lost the habit or the confidence somewhat in doing that. But that's not entirely the case. We've just had a show at the Public Theater based on the marvelous songs of Alicia Keys.
Yes.
And it's been sold out since the very first preview. You know, people are waiting in line to try to get a ticket cancellation, maybe. So it depends on the show quite a bit. And the community is still there, and there's really nothing like it. It's just a remarkable community, people who have a passion and interest in what the theater can offer them, and whether it's entertainment or something on a more serious thematical level, there's a remarkable audience out there if it's done well and it speaks, you know, to the people that have come to see it.
Yeah.
So that's been a powerful aspect of the Public Theater since the beginning, when we opened in 1967.
I wish I could have been a fly on the wall when you guys sat down for a meeting and you decided that you were going to do Normal Heart, because you were doing something here that nobody else was doing, and it opened up the door for others to follow. But you took that initial first step with Normal Heart.
Normal Heart, yes. There were a couple of other plays about the AIDS epidemic in New York City in the mid-1980s, which is the setting of that play. But Normal Heart is the one that really got across to an enormous community across the country, and eventually it had, you know, a tremendous reach. There were 600 productions around the world in different languages of it. And it still resonates today, very, very much so. And it's frequently produced again with a different purpose. And, you know, our original showing of that play, when Larry Kramer was very much on the scene, the playwright, because today people find it interesting to look back on the politics of the situation it was so extreme back in the mid-'80s when people were dying right and left. Nobody on any level of government was even mentioning the problem. So it was an urgent kind of situation back then. And it's different now, but it's interesting to look back on what it was back then. And I think you can read something into that experience. It's very useful today when there are certain kinds of very urgent problems that are being ignored or not being paid enough attention to. And so that play has kind of a lasting resonance beyond its topicality.
What is it like to be on that stage when nothing is going on? There's nobody in the seats, but yet you're on that stage because you're holding the energy of bringing something to life. And you compare it to the night where it all opens up. I can't imagine what you go through spiritually as well as creatively in the way of from nothing to a lot of something.
Yeah, well, you hope if you're producing and have opened the play that people are coming to it. But sometimes it's a struggle. But that whole creative process that you're referring to is really, it's just amazing. I'm still quite thrilled by it when I'm around it. And because, yes, you create something from a dream, whether you're a playwright or an actor, producer, writer, composer, you have a dream about making something that didn't exist before. That's just an extraordinary kind of purpose to have. You have to be a little crazy, perhaps, but you have some idea that you want to bring something into existence that never saw the light of day before, and that you hope to attract people and people of talent also, and people to come to see it. Well, that's just an amazing thing. You're starting from nothing. You have nothing but yourself to make it come into existence and to make it attractive, important, or whatever to enough people that they'll want to come and watch it and take it in. That's just it. You're starting from this amazing no place except yourself to carry it forward. So it's a brave act on everybody's part. And it's always kind of amazing how so many people that you have to have engaged in order to produce a play or a musical. You can't do it with one or two people. It takes a lot of resources, backstage, on stage, out front, and so forth. You have to have all those people involved. And so there's a degree of cooperation that's absolutely necessary to bring it forward and to get it on, in front of people. So the aspect of cooperation in the theater, despite a lot of problems, despite a lot of temperaments, despite endless numbers of problems, that come along, is just amazing. I wish certain governing bodies in the body politic could operate with the same level of competency.
Gail, you got to come back to this show anytime in the future. I love listening to your stories. I love listening to your passion for the stage, even today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I certainly have it. I'm still involved with the theater. I'm connected to the people that run it and so forth and so on. And I've tried to maintain that in the book I wrote about my years there. And it's still a very strong connection. And I love the people in the theater. I think they're just the most amazing people on earth.
So true, so true. Well, you be brilliant today, okay?
Yes. Thank you so much.